So, my question is, what boundaries have you had to learn or are still learning as your children build their own lives?
So I don't want to divulge all my information up front, but I will say that one of the most important ones is letting them understand that just as they would like to have independence, that now
Mm,
they understand that I too get to have more greater independence because as they want to go out on their
mm,
own, it means that I get to do more of that as well. Of course, as moms, we were always able to do it, but we did
yeah.
it because we were taking care of kids. And so that's what we're talking about today, that shifting of motherhood. I think that allowing them to be autonomous allows
Mhm.
you your independence and autonomy as well. And even though it's a shift, it can be a really beautiful one. So let's get into it.
Sounds great.
Excellent. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Getting to After. My name is Chatone Morrison, and I'm the Princess of Positivity. And this house, where you are right now, is where we believe that there is no shelf life on healing for midlife women. And it's not too late. You didn't wait too long. You've now come into a place where really, really believe in helping you get to that place where you feel really whole. And this is a place just for you. We're here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. And I want to introduce you to that girl who just tried to give me the whole Inquisition. Go ahead and introduce yourself, girl.
Hey, everybody, I'm Morgan Bustos. I'm a EFT practitioner, a life coach. I get to enjoy helping a lot of women who are navigating through what it looks like to be at the on the backside of domestic violence. So helping them be able to find their center and to be able to start healing so that they can not only heal themselves but also their children. Let's get started with getting to after.
Yeah, it's funny, Morgan, because we haven't talked about this in a while. As spring kind of starts to open up, we immediately start thinking about things like, graduations are happening, or kids are moving up, or,
Mhm,
even getting married, things like that. And I've had all of that stuff happening, and so have you, and
mhm,
so have some of our clients and friends. And so I thought we should talk a little bit about what this midlife motherhood looks like.
mhm,
It's funny because there's a lot of shifts that are happening. As you mentioned, boundaries, we're going to talk about that a little bit, autonomy, a little bit of that. But the thing is, nothing makes a big announcement. There's no banner that comes with it. There is no parade. I wish there were. I find myself saying that a lot. We have to just absorb things as they come along. One day you realize, okay, I'm still a mom, but like not the way that I was. So it feels
mhm.
weird. For me, this week is really profound because my daughter just celebrated her first anniversary. She's having a birthday this week as well. And even though we don't celebrate it, you can't help but know, okay, she's a year older. That means
Right.
she's getting even more grown. And my son as well. It's interesting that there's something that happens when you start looking at what my kids are doing. I didn't lose a daughter because she moved out of the house. I gained a bonus son, which is really special. My son is getting to be almost 20, so he's in a different role in his life. It's beautiful, but it's also really different. And both things can be true at the same time, but it can make you feel some kind of way. So I think while we're in the midst of all these other changes, then our kids are doing stuff, and sometimes
Mhm.
we just don't feel like ourselves anymore.
Oh my goodness, that's such a good point because I don't think this gets talked about enough, honestly. Because between the two of us, we are going through a lot in so many different, like it's coming at us from different angles right now. So check this out. Next month, both of my sons are hitting like pivotal moments in their ages. Like Maddox is going to be 18, Devaris is going to be 21, right? So those are like two monumental things. And then
And
on
I
top
met you, they were babies, little teeny ones, little.
with those cute little cheeks and everything. But yeah, so there's that. And then I also have a daughter who's in like her mid 20s. And then on the other end, I have the youngest who just started, she's going to be starting driving here pretty soon. And it feels weird because they're all like every single one of them are in different stages. But the
Yeah.
common thread throughout the whole thing is they still are going to need me, but just like in a different way. So trying to figure out exactly what that looks like has been kind of challenging.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, different ages, same type of shifts. My son's working now, he's out of the house, last part of his the little last part of his teen years. And I can really feel it's different, just this space, kind of this quiet, this I need you, but not in the same way. And then I
Mhm.
even feel it too, like I need you in different ways than I used to need you. Like I need you to go to that store. You know what I mean? But you know, it's I think the real question kind of sitting with us today, and if you're watching, we're gonna try and keep this light. But if you're feeling any of this, we want you to know you're not alone. We are two. I'm a midlife plus woman, and Morgan is a midlife woman, and navigating similar ages though with our children because my husband and I started much later. Um, a lot of things are intersecting with who we are, the changes that we're having. And
Mhm.
so for you, what do you think like for in your life, because obviously our lives are different. You even have children even older than mine, which is so weird. How do you think it interacts with midlife with having these young adult children?
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's not just about them growing, it's also about us simultaneously, like, shifting into this new version of ourselves,
Yeah.
because we're so long for so long, we were a mom, we were a wife, and, you know, taking them to practice and taking them to their different events and all these things, and now not being needed the same way can be kinda difficult to try to figure out, like,
Yeah.
where do I fit?
Yeah. And I think it's something that we don't really want to say out loud because who wants to say, I really wish I could still take my kid to Little League? Like, I, I'm good. Are you okay, sis?
Okay, I'm gonna say this, though. My favorite parts of my day were taking my kids to school and then picking them up. Because, like, their little faces are so happy when you come out of school because they get to go and play and all that jazz, but it was just, like, a moment I looked forward to during the day. So
It was one of the most difficult times. I did want to see them, but I was
mm,
trying to do this between conference calls. Get in
mm,
that car loop, and then it's raining, and they're saying we're going to delay the kids coming outside, and I'm like, I got the next conference call, right?
yeah.
And maybe my nanny, I had an after school nanny, and maybe she was late or whatever. Like not it wasn't that sweet a time for me at that moment until I left corporate, and then it was a little bit differently. Um,
Mm,
I do think now, like women in their 40s and 50s, it's hard to hit this age. And I was doing some research on this, that it shows that kind of like the nest isn't exactly empty, but there is kind of this transition into that idea of the nest emptying. And there's like a little dip in identity clarity. So you know who you are before you're married. I'm in my 20s, I'm in my party era, I'm free, I'm single wheeling, whatever, or some variation of that. Wherever you are, we're not pushing that on you. And then you're saying, okay, so now I'm a wife, or I'm a single mom and I'm doing the thing, I'm doing all the things. And then even, just a few years into that, it it shifts. And,
mhm,
there's a lot of research talking about, even from I think it was the American Psychological Association was talking about how satisfaction in life often starts to like stabilize and then sometimes it dips. And it's not until you realize, okay, I'm going to be a little different. I'm going to be needed differently. I'm going to be maybe called different things. In our household, my mother in law refused to be called grandma or, mom. We call her honey. She has to have her own name. She's like, don't have me out here with some nana. I'm not going out like that. Right. And so there is this kind of adjustment period that has to happen. And, there's a gap before life may start to feel full again if, and I wouldn't say only if, but if this was your only identity. And
mhm,
for me, there was a period of time when I felt like I wish it were my only identity. But I
mhm,
was doing all this traveling and I was working and I was trying to do all the things and it was so exhausting. So that when I did get a chance to do what you're talking about, just be home,
mhm,
just be a mom. And I say that just not in a negative way. I say it like it was like, wow, I get to be a mom. It was only a couple years, but it was really awesome. So that when it started to slip away just a couple years later, I said, "Now, where them kids at?" You know what I mean?
right? Well, that makes complete sense too because it's not like we're unhappy, right? It's just that there's, like, this empty space in our lives and within ourselves that we don't exactly know what to do with because it was always filled with the children, right? And I mean, don't get me wrong at all, but, like, I do know that this empty face space, it kind of feels weird.
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
does. It really feels, and because I don't know what to fill it up with. I don't know what I wanna do yet.
yeah. I think it's interesting. The thing that no one kind of tells you is that you don't have to fill it back in. You don't have to. There's lots of things that we could be doing or not doing. It could be it's okay to just be quiet and chill a little bit. But I do think that, being needed differently, like if the kids don't need me the way that they used to need me before, who am I now? And I think about you in a situation where you really had to be hands-on protector. And for those women who are watching us who are maybe transitioning, out of domestic violence, or who are out of it now but are trying to like recalibrate what does that look like, especially in midlife with their family, where you had to be that kind of protector. I mean,
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what did that look like for you in, kind of you were just moving into midlife and needing to really be a different person or take a different role with your family.
I think I'm still trying to figure that out, like the balance with that, because I did have to be very honestly, I had to be very controlling of everything because if I wasn't, then the consequences for that was it could mean our lives, you
Right.
know? So I think going from a situation where I was micromanaging everything, the children didn't have a lot of opportunities to like make their own decisions or figure out like how to mess something up and then like, good
And to
choices,
be
bad.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Because
Yeah.
I was constantly having to make all the decisions for them now. So, like, on the back end now, I'm seeing that it's a struggle. It's a struggle for all of us. It's a struggle for me because, like I mentioned, the children, they're legal. They're of legal
You
age.
have to you have to
Yes.
start to be hands off, and it's got to feel more like it has to happen faster
Mhm.
because you
They
know
need to figure it out.
it has to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the same time, I'm still concerned because I'm like, do you have all the life skills you need to be able to make those choices because you haven't had the experience? So that's been kind of the baseline struggle is how much do I let go? How much do I need to make sure that I'm implementing the appropriate consequences for their actions and choices kind of thing, whether it's good or bad, just finding that balance because that word alone, Chatone, I've never experienced it. I don't know
Mhm.
what that looks like on so
Mhm.
many different levels of my life. So then trying to teach them what balance looks like has been kind of a
Yeah.
little bit of a struggle right now too.
Yeah. And I mean, it's got, I mean, I don't know what that might feel like, but I think that a lot of our audience will, and the women who are following us will get that. I think
Mhm.
that whether you come from a domestic violence situation or not, there is this fear of did I do enough? Did I train them well enough? And at the same time, whether we did or not, they're going to leave eventually. The nest is not going to be full forever. So, one of the biggest questions when I was kind of looking at some research and looking at different organizations, one of the questions that women are asking the most is, if my kids don't need me the way they used to need me, then who am I now? Which
Mm,
I think is a little bit of a sad question because it means that maybe you were not fully identified before. But
mm.
who am I now? What do you think?
That's a really good question, first of all. So that research was on point because it's not like we're unhappy where we are right now. It's just that there's this empty place that used to be filled with the children constantly. So now, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have some quiet, but at the same time, like, it feels weird. There's this empty
Yeah,
space inside of us in our lives, so we don't know quite exactly what we need to fill it up with.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
don't know. I know.
Yeah, I mean, the nerve to want a peaceful house, and then once you get it, be like, why isn't it?
Why isn't it loud?
What in the world? Surprise, Shorty. It's not quiet. Just so yeah, I still have a 9-year-old here in the house. It ain't quiet, right? Um, I do think that there's this thing too about like, so what do I want for myself now? And I
Mhm.
have friends that are just their kids, they're like, don't you want Caitlin pregnant? Don't you want a baby now? Don't you want to be a grandmother? I'm like, are you cursing? No, no, I've got things I want to do. And once that baby comes, it's gonna be right here on
Right?
the podcast. I'll be like, listen, I'm in midlife plus, and this the baby. Like, I don't, that was generations. That's what happened. You were a mom for a period of time, then you became a grandmother, and that was like the next step. And I'm not, I'm not giving or taking judgment on that, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure that that's exactly what I want.
Well, and there's no judgment with that
Yeah,
at all. Like, because as women, it's always super hard to figure out like where exactly you're supposed to fit in and where you're supposed to be. Um, and that's like talking with a lot of women about that.
yeah,
But then you end up dealing with what if like I give support to something that doesn't look like it's supposed to right now.
yeah,
Like what am I like where am I supposed to be? What if I'm putting my attention somewhere that I could be redirecting to somewhere else?
yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, think
Um,
about it. We were so used to being like the driver and the fixer and
I
the
know.
the
I know.
drop-off person and the cook and then the judge and the mediator and the executioner all at the same time.
It
And
sounds boring. I don't want any of that anymore.
but we're not needed the same way, so it's
I
kinda
know.
difficult sometimes.
I know. I know. Well, it is definitely a morphing relationship, and I think that when we give all that up, we are allowing our kids to fail or fail-ish, learning
Mm,
to be silent when they do have a major fail, and not always being right there to pick up the piece. And last week I was talking about this a little bit about that morphing relationship with my daughter, being a married woman, not living in my home, and even the relationship that I have with my bonus son. Developing a relationship with a young man that I did not give birth to or does not have my same last name. It's weird, and there's that whole part of I told you I'm a heli mom, you know, I'm a heli mom. Ooh, I'm over top, and it's not about the flying through anymore, but it's really about support. It's really about trying to figure out what that support looks like. I'm really good at hovering and taking care
mhm.
of stuff, and I know you are too.
Well, yeah, that's all good, but, like, we can still do that, right? We can still
We said motherhood and midlife doesn't mix. Now, I don't know, okay, but I will say that if it's one of these things that
Mhm.
you're feeling some kind of way about it, and mostly probably your children are too. So in the spring edition of Getting to After, there's an article that talks about this very thing, about what does that look like, giving up, giving over, when the
Mhm.
when the quiet is different, when your helicopter propellers have to come down a little bit, or they can't spin as fast. What does that look like? Because um support is still needed. We're still moms, we're still parents, but at the same time, there's got to be a level of self-control now that letting go allows them to kind of do their own thing a little bit.
Mm.
And we have to trust that.
I think that's sometimes it can be hard to trust that because we watch them every day. We watch them how they manage their everything in their lives, but I think this is where we really have to just trust ourselves and know
Yeah.
that we did everything that we could right then and there to give them that foundation that they need, you know? And then in the long term, sometimes they're gonna have to figure things out. Some things are gonna hurt, and we have to allow it to hurt. We can be there to help them back up, but, like, sometimes they have to figure it out. What kind of things hurt for you, like, that you have to allow your kids to go through?
Yeah. Hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no band-aid for broken hearts.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You know, there's no splint for hurt spirit, and that I think is is very challenging. And it's not just our girls, it's also our boys. Um, Having them need to get help in different areas and having to navigate that and help them to still feel self-esteem no matter what's going on in their lives, and having them understand that even if things are not perfect, that we still love them even though we're not going to love them the same way. That love doesn't maybe doesn't look like I'm tucking you in at night and reading you a story, right? May not be kissing you on the forehead, but the love is still there. It's hard. That part I think is really hard, but it it does hurt. It does hurt to me to do this and
Mhm,
kinda, like, with my eyes like this and just peep one eye open and look and see, what's happening in their lives. I think that's really hard. Morgan, I feel like one of the things for me too is, not always being the first voice they ask for. I remember when that first started happening with Caitlin, where, I was always the person where she wanted to share the news with, and it started to be a girlfriend, you know what I mean? Thankfully, it wasn't a boyfriend, but it was a girlfriend, and I wasn't the first line, and you think about a game, you want to be on the front, you don't want to be the front. I want to
right?
be first string, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you're not. You're second thing, or you're on the bench, right? And
Mhm,
that, I think, it's not so much hurt, but it's like, oh, or needing to follow up to find out what in the world's actually going on,
mhm,
because you may not know. And I'm not so much a helicopter that I'm going to ask my kids' friends. So, but that's
mhm.
tact. Don't do it. Don't do that one. You may be tempted, but don't do it.
We can be tempted to do that for sure, especially when we're not in their lives 100% of the time. Like my
That's true.
daughter, she's back in Colorado, right?
Right?
Like she's graduated with her master's degree. She was doing her own thing and making all these choices.
Yeah.
And she's really established herself as a very strong, confident young lady, like young woman, you know what I mean, with everything that she's doing. And I couldn't be more proud of her. And it's interesting because our lives just went two separate ways with the decisions that we made on what being a woman in that age group in your early
Yeah.
20s looks like, right? But I'm so proud of her. It's so encouraging to see that the foundation that we, did lay, or the little parts that I did play in it is, is following through. And then, like, to her success, And then I think about my oldest son at different points throughout his whole life. Like, he's such a self-sufficient person. He's a hard worker. Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
divorce. Yeah, he is.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's crazy. That boy has drive like no other, and he always takes care of his business. You know what I mean? He always makes sure things are taken care of, and it's impressive. It's impressive to see them become who they are, Like, I used to always tell my kids, like, "I cannot wait to see who you are going to become." Like, who you have to, you know, like,
No crying on this episode, Morgan.
it's so beautiful.
I know.
No, it's such a beautiful thing when you see your children becoming who they were meant to be,
Yeah.
and knowing that you can just let them enjoy it, let them see, like, let them experience what life is because we did.
Yeah.
So give them an opportunity to.
Yeah. And there
Mhm,
can be fears with that too, because you don't want them to repeat the same mistakes, and sometimes we can see that happening. Um,
mhm,
I do think coming back to us with all of that self-sufficiency, that's how we started with all that autonomy, it does come back to, am I still valuable? Am I still valuable in their lives? I mean, there's that fear of, am I, where do I fit in? And you initially asked me about boundaries and all of that and autonomy. And I think it
mhm.
does come into like, okay, if I'm not needed the same way, then what is my role?
Yeah.
And many of the women we've talked to feel now in their 40s, and they're actually getting this younger because they got married younger or they had children at a very young age. And so they're kind of, you're not hitting midlife just because your kids are grown. You may still be in your 30s, okay? And your kids are grown. I'm not saying you had kids early, right? But what
Right.
happens is that same feeling of, okay, so if I'm not needed for everything, and I'm not talking about just babysitting now because they're having kids and you're a grandparent,
Mhm,
where does my value hit? And
mhm,
unfortunately, because of our hormone dips, because of
mhm.
sleeplessness, because of, not feeling maybe very comfortable in our bodies are changing, our hair is, all the changes that we often talk about,
Yeah.
then this most important role that we had as an identity is also changing. It can feel like, okay, so am I worthy now? I mean, am I still
Of
important here?
value. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one, and it's a developmental shift. It's an identity shift. I wish that we always talk about we wish someone had told us. No one tells you anything about any of this, and there's no time, and we wouldn't have listened anyway. You're like, this is never going to happen to this, right? That you're holding, and then it happens, and they go to school, and then it happens, and they go to middle school, and then it happens,
Mhm,
so quickly that we don't recognize that if we were to be able to morph as we went along, and we are talking about emotions, we are talking about how we feel on the inside. I wish, and maybe we should do this, create tapping transformations through the stages because it would allow women to be able, I know I'm just thinking about this, it would allow women to be able to, as the transitions are happening, to feel less pressure or less loss in a negative way because we are always going to be losing. We're raising kids, right?
yeah.
But we wouldn't have to feel such a negative. We'd be able to kind of embrace the beauty instead.
Or doubt or question where we're at and what we're feeling, as if it's a bad thing that we love our kids and we wanna be a part of their lives, but knowing that everybody else is going through that too, I think that'd be really helpful. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah.
would be
So
fun.
make a note. Make a note. We may have to do that. I met a woman down in Virginia, and she was like on her. She's in her 60s, and she's on her phone, and she was like diligently doing something. We didn't. Mark and I were together. She was really diligent on her phone, and it was like. Is she? But she seemed a little bit stressed out. We're trying to figure out, should we help her? Because a lot of times there's a lot of tourists coming through and spring breakers or whatever, and so we asked her. So, oh, I see you're really busy on your phone over there. Like, is everything okay? And she just opened us and told us a lot of things. And one of the things that she mentioned was that she's in the process of creating this trip to Spain, which I've told you is one of my most favorite places on the earth. And so we started talking about Spain and different things like that. But what was interesting was that she was like, I've been raising kids, and now I'm also taking care of my mom. My mom is 94, I think. And she was saying, "But this is a girls' trip. My husband is gonna take care of my mom for me, and I'm going alone." And you could see the excitement in her face, and I thought, she's navigating the sandwich, right? She's a
Mhm.
midlife plus woman. She's got this older mom, right? She's had grown kids, and she was telling us about her grown kids and how becoming an adult and all that. But she's still discovering this little part of herself and asking for what she needs. Husband, you're not going.
Yeah.
Husband, I'm going with my girlfriends. Like, how 20s is that, right? That sounds like the 20s.
Uh-huh.
But yet she was going back for that. And I think I just was, I was so stunning. It was so stunning. I was so excited for her. I probably never see her again.
Mhm.
Um, but shout out to you, Yvette. You know, I thought what a wonderful thing to kind of branch into as opposed to feeling like I'm less than. What
Mhm.
else is out there for me? And let me not think about because I'm older now, or because I'm going through the change, or because I'm hot, whatever,
We're going to
that
short sleeves today. Whew.
right, that it doesn't mean that I can't now do something new, or
Mm.
that I'm have one role only to be someone's grandmother, or to
Mhm.
be someone's savior because they can't figure it out yet. Um, and that's why we're going to that's why that's in the spring issue as well. Just how do we kindly navigate a choir house? How do
Mhm.
we give ourselves that peace during the transition? So we're going to be talking about that for sure.
But how cool is that, that she knew, you know what? Okay, I need to do this for myself. Because there's a point where we forget to do that, like that our needs and our wants or our dreams or desires or even like some
Yeah,
kind of ambition like matters or even existed. So then for her to be like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I know I have these responsibilities, but delegating. And I think that's really hard as women for us to be able to delegate because we know that we carry quite a bit of the family on us,
right.
but for her to have the mental fortitude to be like, okay, I have to take care of me. I'm going to need you to step up and step in.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
And
Go and do it.
she was on her. She was like, "I'm leaving tomorrow." Like she was on it. I think that when we tap today, we can tap on releasing some of this, or maybe embracing some of these adjustments, because one of the things I know for me, Morgan, and I know it's the same for you and anyone who listens to us, if you've gotten to your 40s, 50s, 60s, and above, first of all, congratulations, right?
Mhm,
But also, we want our kids to be happy.
mhm,
We want to help affect their success, but not at the exchange of our own success, or saying that now it's done for me. There's nothing else. I'm
yeah.
not having children anymore. I'm not of childbearing age, or if I do, it's biblical. Um, I'm not, I don't always have to just be someone's caregiver. I can decide that I want to be cared for, or I'm going to care for myself right now. Or in a case where a woman is maybe single or isn't in a relationship, that it's okay to do something totally different, and that being a mom no longer has to be your full identity. And
Mhm.
you mentioned earlier that it happens really quickly, and it does. It does. And people have told us, our moms are always talked about that. You just wait till your kids are grown. See how you're gonna feel, right? It's always with the finger.
Yep.
Um, but they were right.
They're
They
definitely right.
were
Or
right.
when my papi told me, he's like, I hope you have one just like you. And I had four. So like,
Probably was not fair. That was not kind. That was not nice at all. For those of you who are listening to this, or whether you're watching in the replay, we would love to hear from you. Are you going through this? Is it kind of like this messy midlife motherhood moment where you're trying to um, figure out where do you fit in, trying to
mm,
figure out what is your identity right now? And maybe you don't think about it out loud, but it is actually happening. What does that look like for
mm,
you? And how are you feeling with it? In the midst of all of the other changes that are happening, where sometimes you just have to just ignore all of that and just go for the one thing. Maybe it's work,
mhm,
maybe caretaking. All those other things are still happening. And then all of a sudden, maybe a parent dies. I hope not, but maybe a parent dies. And then you're confronted with, oh, I've given all my attention to this thing and now everyone's gone. And you're
Yeah.
really trying to refine yourself. So, Morgan, why don't you do a little grounding for us, do a little body scan, and then we're going to get into some tapping. And before we even get started with that, I do want to remind you again, you always want to make sure you get the magazine. You can go to our website, gettingtoafter.com. The Getting to After magazine does help us to support our initiatives for women who are coming out of domestic violence. This
Mhm.
particular spring issue is the reset issue. And, we went going from retreat to reset where, in spring, everyone's thinking about rebirth and everything's, but resetting so that if what you wanted to bring forward from the beginning of the year didn't happen,
Mhm.
if it didn't happen, then it's okay to kind of, okay, I'm going to restart, I'm going to reset. And in motherhood, I think it's the same thing. Things
Mhm.
are changing, but we're gonna keep it moving here. So Morgan, why don't you go ahead and get us grounded, and then we're gonna move into some tapping.
Oh, I love doing the grounding. Thank you. Yes, let's do it. So let's just take a moment to settle into our body before we tap. So you can go ahead and you can place your feet firmly on the floor and let your hands rest gently in your lap. And just begin to notice your breath without changing it at all. So we're going to inhale slowly and, and exhale. You can let your shoulders drop just a little bit and bring your awareness to your face. You can soften your jaw, relax your forehead, and just breathe. Now bring your attention down into your chest. Just notice, see if there's any tightness or heaviness in the space. There's no need to fix it, just notice what's there. And then let your breath travel down into your belly. Allow it to rise and to fall, soften gently. And then gently scan your body from head to toe, noticing where you feel supported. Your feet on the ground, your body in the chair, wherever it might be. And remember, you're here, you're held, and you're allowed to take up this space. One more deep breath in and out. Now let's get ready to tap.
Nice, nice. I love it. Okay. Okay. That was very nice, Morgan. I hope that everyone decided to do that grounding. And again, if you're busy, if you're driving, if you're between meetings or something and you're watching this, or you're watching the replay and you can't stop it just now, always come back because that grounding is there for you. And again, remember that we always do a breathing/grounding session in our magazine that's exclusive to you. So make sure you grab the new magazine as soon as it's available. So I'm going to do some tapping today that really gives making space for the midlife motherhood shift, because as we've been talking today, there is this shift. And if you're feeling it, if you're feeling, I don't feel like myself, I don't feel as important, I don't feel as worthy, maybe you feel like your self-esteem is taking a dip or a drop, we want to kind of help you to recalibrate that. But you need to feel it, because if it's a feeling, it's a worthy feeling. It is what it is. And so we want you to know that as you embrace the negative and acknowledge it and name it, it gives room for you to, at the same time, remember there's a lot of good things coming your way. There really are, if you allow it to. So that's what we want to be doing in this particular tapping transformation. So we're going to start with a deep breath in. We're going to really ground this, but let's just start with one nice deep breath in. And while you're holding that breath in for 4 counts, you can go ahead and start tapping on the side of your hand. If this is your first time with us, breathe out. Or if you've tapped with us before or watched us before, we tap on the side of the hand. I bring my hands up a little bit to make sure you can see me. And this is the karate chop point. This is where we're going to do a little setup phrase. So you can go ahead and you can repeat after me. Even though motherhood has been such a big part of who I am,
Even though motherhood has been such a big part of who I am,
And things are starting to change in ways I didn't expect.
And things are starting to change in a way I didn't expect.
I'm open to finding space for all of me right now.
I'm open to finding space for all of me right now.
And even though part of me misses being needed the way I used to be,
And even though part of me misses being needed the way I used to be,
and I don't always know what to do with that feeling,
and I don't always know what to do with that feeling,
I give myself permission to feel it.
I give myself permission to feel it.
I don't have to rush past it.
I don't have to rush past it.
And even though I'm learning to love myself differently,
And even though I'm learning to love myself differently,
and love my children differently,
and to love my children differently,
I know that I can stretch and shift.
I know that I can stretch and shift.
And I'm willing to meet myself with compassion.
And I'm willing to meet myself with compassion.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to start tapping. And again, what you're going to do is you're going to follow either me or Morgan. And again, you can repeat after me. You can do it out loud. You can do it in a whisper, however makes you feel comfortable. And we're going to start on the eyebrow point. This shift in motherhood.
This shift in motherhood.
Side of eye. It feels different to me now.
It feels different to me now.
Under eye, I don't like not being needed in the same way.
I don't like not being needed in the same way.
Under nose, I own that.
I own that.
In my body.
In my body.
Collarbone in my thoughts.
In my thoughts.
Underarm in my quiet moments.
In my quiet moments.
Top of head, a lot of things have changed.
A lot of things have changed.
Yeah. Eyebrow, part of me misses it so much.
Part of me misses it so much.
Side of eye, being needed like I was before.
Being needed like I was before.
Under eye, being called for everything.
Being called for everything.
Under nose, my body misses being the first person they went to.
My body misses being the first person that they went to.
Chin, that meant something to me and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
That meant something to me, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah. Collarbone, it still means something when they choose me.
It still means something when they choose me.
Underarm, I don't always want to admit that.
I don't always want to admit that.
Top of head, but it's real.
But it's real.
I admit it now.
I admit it now.
I feel no shame.
And I feel no shame.
Eyebrow, let's go a little deeper. I'm allowed to feel whatever I feel.
I'm allowed to feel whatever I feel.
Side of eye, it's not a problem.
It's not a problem.
It's not an issue.
It's not an issue.
Under eye, I am a mother in transition.
I am a mother in transition.
With my body.
With my body.
With my family.
With my family.
Under nose, it's not a failure.
It's not a failure.
Under chin, it's not a loss of love.
It's not a loss of love.
It's not a loss of importance.
It's not a loss of importance.
Collarbone is just a shift.
It's just a shift.
Life is allowed to shift.
Life is allowed to shift.
And I'm ready to accept that.
And I'm ready to accept that.
Underarm, I may be called something different now.
I may be called something different now.
Top of head, but I'm still mom.
but I'm still mom.
Okay, just stop for a second, take a deep breath in, let that go. And if this resonates for you, we're going to do one more round of tapping transformation where we give ourselves a little bit more permission to kind of open up and rediscover. I'm seeing Morgan taking some water. You may need that as well. Your body is going to go through, if this resonates with you, your body is going to be releasing and recalibrating. Let it.
Yeah.
If you feel yourself getting a little emotional, good. That's what this is all about. Let's do one more round, Morgan. Eyebrow point. I give myself permission to grow.
I give myself permission to grow.
They are growing, and so am I.
And they are growing, and so am I.
Side of I, because they're growing,
Because they're growing
doesn't mean I'm shrinking.
doesn't mean that I'm shrinking.
Under I. I'm still waiting to rediscover parts of me.
I'm still waiting to rediscover parts of me.
Under nose. While I was raising them, I couldn't do things.
While I was raising them, I couldn't do things.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Chin, but it's time.
But it's time.
My boundaries may mean telling them no.
My boundaries may mean telling them no.
Collarbone, so I can make space for myself.
So that I can make space for myself.
I still love them.
I still love them.
Underarm, both can exist.
Both can exist.
Top of head, I'm learning to accept both.
I'm learning to accept both.
Letting them go.
Letting them go.
And embracing more of myself.
And embracing more of myself.
Okay, gently stop tapping. Hold your hands together a little bit, allow them warmth there. You may want to roll your neck as Morgan did. I want to do one move because I think it's really important as we bring some warmth into our body. I want you to take your shoulders, hold them up. You feel that tension. You're going to roll it back, kind of squeezing the back together, and then down, and then roll your neck. My hoops are so big, it's hard for me to roll my neck today. But just roll your neck, and then roll the other way. This particular tapping, as I created this one of my goals was to really talk about all those things that we don't want to talk about. There's just these things that we're a little bit embarrassed about. And we need to go ahead and acknowledge them. That's why when we come in this house, it's all about authenticity up in here. We say the hard things. They may be small, but it may feel really raw that you say, I wish it was. I wish I was back there, in the middle of all the, the crazy and everything. I wish I was back there and I'm not. And it can feel kind of lonely, kind of quiet, but there's still so much room. There's so much that you can still do. And we want to make sure that you know that. What are your thoughts, Morgan?
That if things are changing, it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. We're just all in a different season of our lives, and that we're allowed to take time trying to find ourselves and growing right alongside of our children. So you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes, and that's the point. That's the sweet part of it. And so even though it may feel a little bit messy, it doesn't mean that it's messy. It doesn't mean it has to be messy. It can just mean that we're changing, they're changing, and we can meet someplace in the middle.
Especially because when they get to those points in their lives, this is new for them. And so where they may not have wanted you all their information and your what's that called? Like your input, in their late teens, now they're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to, like, how do I handle this? And now all of a sudden you're important again. So
So just wait. Just wait. If it resonated with you, drop in the comments and let us know, how are you dealing with this kind of transition? Your kids may be in their teens, they may be early 20s, or like mine, moving out. You have children living out of your house as well. How are you doing with this? Are you feeling like your worth is taking a little bit of a dip? If so, please contact us, work with us, because that's not where you belong. You belong someplace much stronger, much bigger, much more brilliant. And as I always say, be the catalyst. If you accept and embrace where you are right now and are willing to constantly move forward, they'll they'll come back and reach back in and, mom, what, you're always mom, and so I think it's really special. Make sure that you follow us. We are on all over social as Getting to After, and also I'm going to put up our banner if you'd like to learn more about tapping, learn more about what we kind of did today with grounding, breathing, tapping, and what that all looks like, or you want to work with us individually. You can always go to bit.ly/G2A-W8 to join our mailing list. We love to work with you and hear from you. And make sure you get the new magazine when it comes. Just go out to our website and you can always know what's going on with us. All right. We will see you next time, Tuesday, 8 a.m. every single week. We love you. Mwah.
Love. Bye.
Bye.